We bow our heads. Father, we thank you, Lord, for our city. Thank you, Lord Almighty God, for our council, our mayor. Thank you for everyone, Lord God, our employees of our city. We give you praise and glory, Lord God, and we thank you, Lord, that any question or any situation that's before us, Father God, we know, Lord God, that we seek you first. Even in every meeting, Lord God, prayer is priority. So, Father, we just want to say thank you that your hand is over our city, the city of Floresville. We call it all blessed, Father. In Jesus' name, oh God, we pray. Everyone said amen.
Amen. Thank you.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Melissa Jimenez is here. Mario Morones is here. Jake Lambert is on Zoom. Francis Flores is here. Felix Cantu is here, and my name is Guillermo Ramos Cantu, Mayor of the City of Floresville. And we welcome you. At this time, any person wishing to address the council regarding an item on the agenda may do so. Speakers are requested to state their name and address for the record. Public comments are limited to 5 minutes per individual. In accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, the City Council may not deliberate or take action on any matter that is not posted on the agenda. However, the council may direct staff to place the item on a future agenda for discussion or action if appropriate. Moving on. Ms. Jimenez, do you have any comments? No, ma'am. Mr. Morris?
I'd like to thank everyone who said, but we do it. What is it? Thoughts and prayers for my family that my mom passed away in prayer yesterday. I want to thank the city of Floresville for all your kind prayers and texts and everything, and food and everything. And I want to thank everybody out there too that supported with food and donations. And I don't know, this might not be the place, but I want to thank because we're a family. And the city, extended their heart to me, and thank you. I didn't want to take it to the following meeting, but it's hard to break down, but I was mama's boy, so thank you.
Lambert?
No comment.
I just have a few announcements. I want to announce that the 3rd annual Easter basket giveaway hosted by Beatriz Marroquin is going to be Sunday, March the 29th at 3 p.m. at Meat Shop on 1311 3rd Street. Also, Walmart will be having their Easter hunt this Saturday, March the 28th from 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. in the afternoon. Everyone is welcome. Mr. City Manager, no comments? Okay. Moving on to item 4, consent agenda, consideration and action to approve meeting minutes for the regular council meeting on February the 12th, 2026.
Mayor, there is one thing on the consent agenda that just needs to be corrected to no comment under council comments number 2. So I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and approve the meeting minutes with the update to remove question to no comment. motion.
Okay, do I have a second? I'll second. All in favor? Motion passes 4-0.
Yeah, so you are gonna need to speak in the microphone. Oh, I'm sorry, I wanted to make an announcement. You need to get pretty, or have it as close as you can, if not, because I can barely hear y'all.
Okay.
So it's the way,
Can you hear me now?
a little, put it a little closer to you. You need
Okay,
to speak in the microphone.
Item B. Consideration and action to approve minutes for the regular council meeting on March 12, 2026.
Mayor, if I may, I would like to amend the minutes. My council comment just says announcements. I would like the specific announcements listed, specifically the one where I mentioned revisiting the mayor's pictures on the wall. Because that was agreed upon by Mr. Munoz, and I would like that captured in the minutes so we can bring that back to another meeting.
So I have a question. Would y'all like it every time to always say exactly what you're saying, or, because I mean, I've had it for enough. Is that gonna be something that we can,
My preference, Ms. Garcia, is if it's something that I am asking to bring back, that it be documented in the comments. That's my preference. I don't know if council has any other preferences.
Council?
I'm okay with it.
Okay.
That was the only amendment I had, Mayor.
Okay. So do I have a motion on this?
I make a motion to accept the minutes for item 4B with the amendment made for March 12, 2026.
Motion made by Ms. Jimenez. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Cantu. All in favor? Motion passes 4-4 and 1 abstain. Moving on to item 5, presentation, discussion, the 82nd Floresville Peanut Festival. We don't have a representative here? Okay. Moving on to item B, community project, security cameras, lighting, and Wi-Fi. Kevin Wagner. CEO of Phelps.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and staff. Yes, just wanted to give a quick update on a project that Phelps has been working on in conjunction with FEDC and other City of Floresville staff. Got a presentation that Ms. Darcy is going to put up. That's the last slide, if you go to the top, please. It's kind of funny, we just had that picture done this week. We had a professional photographer and I thought I'd share it with you.
I love it.
It was done in the back in our little training facility, so thought I'd share that with you. So the second slide, Floresville Economic Development approached Phelps in late 2025 to start looking at potentially putting Wi-Fi in the city parks. At that request, we had a meeting set up for January 8th of this year, and we discussed exactly what we wanted to do at each park. Not only that, we had a secondary meeting that was with City of Floresville staff that we wanted to make sure what we were planning, what we were proposing to do didn't conflict with anything that the city was trying to do, or that you didn't like any of the proposed changes. So the improvements included changes in aesthetics, you'll see in a couple of pictures in a minute that Lodi had a lot of old facilities in it, Lodi Park. So we were really wanting to improve the aesthetics of what the electrical side looked like. Phelps agreed to begin planning upgrades at each park after that meeting. Excuse me. And as we were going through each park, we also identified several safety concerns that we had. The city of Floresville personnel corrected very quickly afterwards. That included some damaged outlets that were at a couple of the parks that were susceptible to little hands getting in there and potentially electrocuting themselves, and also some conduits that were damaged at the tennis courts that it looked like some of the mowers had hit. So those were corrected very quickly by Floresville staff, and I commend them for their quick response. Next slide, please. FEDC Park, over here behind the FEDC building. There wasn't a whole lot we had to do there other than make sure that the lights were functional. When we went out there, there were several lights that weren't functional, not only in the parking lot, but pointing towards the basketball court. All the lights on the tennis court appeared to be functional, so we didn't have to do any work on that front. The damaged conduit, as I stated a while ago, was over by the tennis courts, and we just didn't want, there was actually an exposed wire where the conduit had moved and took the insulating jacket off of it, so there was a little bit of exposed electrical wires that needed to be addressed. And again, those were addressed very quickly. Going to the next slide, we talk about skate park. Skate parks where we really wanted to add some better security. We are planning to put in cameras and also Wi-Fi for this area, which includes, the Wi-Fi should be able to reach the dog park as well, so we should be in good shape there. The cameras that we're putting in should be able to allow police to see over at the dog park as well. There were some light issues here in addition to that, and those were corrected before we even had the meeting on site. So if the lighting at any of these facilities, if you get reports that they're not working, please send in a ticket and let us know so that we can get them repaired quickly. It doesn't take much for our servicemen to go out there and fix them. The other one was one of the outlets. As I stated a while ago, this was a location where one of the outlets, little fingers could get into it. And again, Floresville staff did a very good job of making sure that potential liability didn't come to fruition. Lodi Park, this is the one that we had a lot of old material out there. Material that wasn't even connected. For me, it didn't look good. It looked like we just disconnected it, left it, and said, we're done. And I wasn't gonna have that. So this is where we decided to go ahead and improve the park by bringing in steel poles instead of the wood poles to give longevity. We improved it by adding security lighting and court lighting so that the kids at night have a good, nice, bright facility. The lights that were up there didn't actually work. So at night, the kids and other things that might be happening were not seen by anybody because there were no lights up there. So now we have lights not only where they're shining on the court, but they're below your new awning so that it shines underneath the awning as well. We'll be adding a Wi-Fi and security cameras at this location, and both those will allow us to service that park in a complete manner. Is that better?
Yes.
Excuse me. We also are planning to add a outlet there so that if y'all have any gatherings, whether it be booth tables, or even like blow-up things for the kids, you'll be able to use the plugins for that. So I believe we're waiting right now on the city to do a little bit of electrical work to get that completed. But our side, we have it wired up to where that box is gonna be. And then the lights will, I believe, be put on a timer or a switch over by that junction box where they can be turned off and not bother the residents at night, if you don't want them to. We can always leave them on, but that's really, once we're done with the project, it's up to the city on how you want to operate them. We'll just help you out maintain them. And then I've got a few before and after pics. As you can see, the old wood structures there on the left. That's what it used to look like. Some were leaning, as you can see. Now we have some nice steel poles. We're considering actually topping them so that they're not so tall and putting a cap on top. But we're trying to figure out how we want to get that done and have it uniform all the way around so that it looks good. And then one other before and after pic on the next slide. This is over near the restroom. The photographer that did this didn't take the picture at the same angle. If you see, the one on the left is on one side. The one on the right was taken over by the bathroom. So it's the same side of the park, but a little bit different angle. And again, you can see how the lights are situated below the awning so that the light actually gets to the court and the awning doesn't block like the old lights did. I believe the old lights were put up prior to that awning being put in, and they were never adjusted. But again, they didn't even work, so it really didn't matter. We're waiting on the electrical again to energize those lights, so as soon as the electrical's done, the last update I saw, I think, was tomorrow, was when that was supposed to be done, but I don't have confirmation of that, I apologize. But we'll be ready to help energize it once it's ready. Con Park is the lighting setup there between all of the playscapes was in very bad shape. We actually went out there and you could move the entire structure. When we took the structure off and started breaking the concrete up, the concrete was, we're not even sure what kind of concrete it was. It was very brittle. It didn't even act like concrete. So we pulled everything out. We got all the concrete out. And then we put the pole in, and all the electrical will be hidden from the public. There will not be any side boxes or anything. Everything will be underground and inside the pole for safety. The new lights will be pointing to each of the 3 playscapes, just like before. And then we'll have a camera pointing mainly towards the restroom for safety and security. But it'll catch 180 or 270 degrees of visuals within that park area. So we'll have a very good camera shot for y'all when we get that completed. The last thing is, again, we will be adding Wi-Fi. Now, one of the reasons these poles have to be so tall is we're shooting those signals back to the FEDC tower. So we have to, especially at Con Park, we put a little bit taller pole because there's actually a hill between Con Park and FEDC. So we had to put it up higher, and we'll be putting the antenna up here very soon. Last I spoke to my crew, or our crew, the intent is to start working on the cameras tomorrow to get those installed. We still have the Wi-Fi that are the point-to-point communications to get put in, and then the Wi-Fi to put in. But we're excited about being able to do this for the city. We are going to be looking at helping City of Poth. I've already talked to Mayor Eccles, and also the City of Stockdale. We're going to do some similar projects for them. Not as many parks, they don't have as many, but we're going to try to help them out as well. And all our owner cities, that's just, we feel like we want to give back to y'all some more than what we already do. And we're absolutely glad to help. Any questions?
Yes, let me ask you, on that Pecan Park, I know at one time we didn't have any, power, like, I know it might be a separate thing, we're talking about lighting, but I don't believe that we have electrical, like, if somebody wants to run what do you call it, balloon, the bouncing
Yes,
thing.
down south.
And I don't think there's any power, I don't know if anybody knows, but I don't believe there's any kind of outlet, like, maybe putting 1 or 2 somewhere, maybe from the pole down or something where people can plug in or something. I know people tell me, hey, we're having a party out there, but we never can plug in, maybe even a radio, so I don't know if that's a possibility, but just asking a question for people that had asked me before, so it's something to look at. Thank you.
Mr. Morris, we can't use the electrical coming from that pole, and the reason is that circuit is only rated for what's on that pole. What we can do is work with, Mr. Munoz and the city to see if there's something we can do out of this highway. I believe there's already a box at the highway, to be honest. But, we can take a look at that and see if there's something we can do to support that type of, support our citizens a little better on that front.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Any other questions?
Mayor, I have a question. I thank you for your presentation, and I really appreciate all the work Phelps is doing with the EDC in our city. From a city standpoint, and when we're getting ready to go into budget, for completion of these projects that you have mentioned, what would be the next steps for the city of Floresville to hold up our end?
The only thing I requested was that, we have a street light rate that we have for the number of lights that we have out there, if you guys will take care of that. That's all I ask. We'll handle the rest. What Phelps has done historically is labor has been on us. We don't charge the cities, any of our owner cities, for labor. We ask that materials are paid for. In this particular case, with these projects, I've said that we'll take care of all of it. But the only thing we need is really the electrical cost. And the reason I ask for that is because every street light that we put in the city, if we don't get a reimbursement for that, adds to our losses. We still have to pay for it on the back end when we get our CPS bills. And that's why we still ask that y'all help pay for that part. But as for the materials and the labor, Phelps will take care of that.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. If I may, one last comment, before I forget. One of the things we're trying to do is work with Chief Flores and make sure that all of these video feeds get to his feeds that he's already getting from other cameras within the city. So that's one of the other steps. Once we get this all completed and get all the data into FEDC, we just need to work with Chief Flores to make sure that data gets over to whatever system he has. And I've already been talking with Chief Flores. I just want the council to know that's the final step once we get done, and that'll be on y'all's side.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Y'all have a great evening.
Thank you. Moving on, community grant update. Development Department, go ahead.
I'll take this one, Mayor.
Okay.
Mayors of the council. I have reviewed the work that's been done by the consultant thus far, and I had considerable questions. I take that back to the development services team. And I was kind of asking the question, a lot of it referenced zoning and zoning changes, as well as other land use map questions. And I noticed it was only specifically talking about subdivision ordinances. And so I went back to the source, our previous city attorney, and I said, typically when we do this, we do a unified development plan update. Why are we doing this kind of individually? And he says, well, the city didn't have the budget to do that. Your cost would be about $800,000 plus to modify all of these plans at the same time. I said, well, you know what, that makes sense. I said, so I need to get together with the development services team to look at the land use map, the subdivision ordinance, the updates that we're proposing under the subdivision ordinance. We need to look at changes that are coming up in the next legislative session. So that way we capture everything together as in a unified plan. So I've kind of gone back and forth with everybody, asking some additional questions, like drainage and how do we look at that? And also, do we look at impact fees? What do we look at in terms of development costs? How is that going to impact what we're trying to do in terms of future development? And so I bounced those questions back a little bit. We do have a meeting, I believe, next week with the consultant. We did reach out to the GLO. They've not made a decision on the final approval. We are anticipating a positive result for us, but they're saying they're still about 3 to 4 weeks out before we will hear back on that. So that's the latest update.
Thank you for that, Mr. Munoz.
Sure.
Moving on to drug and alcohol policy.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. I did prepare for your packet proposed drug and alcohol policy. I did forward that to our city attorney. For the first time in my career, she said I was too technical, and she said we could simplify it. And so she does have some changes, so I'm gonna turn it over to the city attorney to give you a brief update on the changes.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have provided sort of an alternate policy. I spoke to the city manager about, I know it's not on your agenda for action tonight, so it's just a presentation matter. And so the way that the city manager's proposed policy was, I think is very technical, and I think it's comes across a lot better for employees understanding-wise to see it in a more simplified form. You end up getting the same requirements in terms of your drug testing company, going through the detailed parts of some of those aspects of it. And so I didn't realize that you have a copy of what he provided because it wasn't in the packet, but I can send you the alternate that I proposed. But in some, as I understand, so presently you have a policy in your handbook for employees, and it just covers employees, right? It doesn't cover others. And so what the policy that I have prepared covers is basically applicants for employment. So that pre-employment drug testing would be covered, drug and alcohol. And then also you would have reasonable suspicion testing in the event that someone has displayed some sort of indication that they might be under the influence of either drugs or alcohol while on duty, then they could be tested at that time. They would be sent for testing. And then following an accident, they would be potentially tested if there are circumstances that warrant testing in that circumstance. And then finally, random testing. So your present policy does call for random testing. It's my understanding that it's not necessarily been implemented as widely as I think the city manager would like to proceed with. And so, but the only people that you can random test are basically CDL drivers that are covered by the DOT, and then also anybody in a safety-sensitive position. I did speak with the HR director, and I understand that those positions are, and Mr. Munoz also indicated, they're reviewing those, and so they would update and include which positions are safety sensitive. And so with that, overall, what the policy says is that the city does not tolerate, has a zero tolerance for use of drugs or possession of drugs or alcohol while on duty, and that if someone is found to be in violation of that policy, they would be subject to disciplinary action up to and including termination of their employment. The draft policy also provides for the use of the EAP policy if someone wants to come forward. If they do have a problem before they've been tested or before they've been at work under the influence, they can use the city's policies to help them get assistance. And the city can help do that. And so that's kind of the big picture. I don't think it would be very helpful for me to talk to you about the particulars of that, but that is the big picture and what I would recommend that you do.
Thank you.
So briefly following up on the city attorney's comment, what we're doing during the budget season is we are analyzing all of the job descriptions, and we created a form which is known as a position analysis, where we examine what the expectation of each position is and is supposed to do versus what they're currently doing, and then we'll modify those job descriptions. And then what we'll do is we'll reclassify those based on your pay grade. And then what we'll also do is that'll help us with the budget, if there's any vacancies or there's anything. So that way we're making sure that people are being paid for what they're supposed to be doing. And at that point, we'll classify safety-sensitive employees and those that are not safety-sensitive employees. So that'll help clear up those when you apply for the job, or those that are currently employed, they'll understand whether they're a part of the random pool testing or not. So we'll clarify that as we go through the budget season.
Thank you. Moving on to item 5E, EAP program.
Yes, Mayor, Councilman, this is a employee assistance program. What we're planning to do is we're planning to offer this to our employees. What it is it's a confidential number that you call, and if you need any help from financial services to health to mental health, you call this number and they get you in contact with local resources to help the employees. The first couple of sessions are for free that they offer under the program. And then after that, if you need additional help for whatever assistance that you're seeking, you and your family that are seeking, it goes against your claim against the insurance, at which point we have assistance for that as well that you currently offer the employees. Right now, we do have a firm that we're looking at. The fee would be to the city $3,000 a month. Right now, we are coordinating between that service as well as the health insurance to make sure that the programs are compatible. So that way, if we do exercise this option, that it is very easy for our employees to use and implement. So we're hoping to bring that back to you in the next 30 days for approval.
Thank you.
Mayor, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Mr. Munoz, speaking of EAP program and thinking about bereavement leave, I'm not quite sure what the employee handbook says as far as how many days are given. But I would like for the administration to consider something that would be more effective for our employees. Typically, most jobs will give you maybe 3 days of bereavement leave, which doesn't count against your personal days, but grief is not linear, and some of our employees may need longer time, especially thinking about employees that are in those positions that could be potentially dangerous if their heart and mind is not at work at the moment. So that was my request. If you could please look into that and consider our employees and maybe a change to bereavement.
Yes, ma'am, we can definitely look at that.
Thank you. Moving on to TML and NLC updates. Council Member Jimenez.
Yes, thank you. I had requested time for presentations because I was out in DC at our nation's capital for a couple of visits and here at our state's capital. And I would like to let you know, one, why I've been going, and two, the things that we have been talking about. Next slide, please. Thank you, Evelyn, for managing that for me. Just for a quick overview, in January for the National League of Cities. Now, Texas is part of the Texas Municipal League. That's our state league, the state association. There is also a national association, which is called the National League of Cities, which all of our states belong to. They have what we call a presidential fly-in in January, where all of the presidents for the state leagues with their executive directors fly into DC to the National League center, their conference center, and we start to set an agenda for what's to come. So that was a quick little trip in January. Come beginning of March, TML had their mid-year conference. Everyone knows about their annual conference in the fall. They always do a smaller version of mid-year where we also talked about the upcoming 90th legislative session that will be coming up next year. Then following that, just recently, the National League of Cities had their Congressional City Conference, which was back to DC. And what was specific about this conference was that elected officials from all over the nation got together at the nation's capital, one, to have very informative conference sessions, but also to have very detailed Capitol Hill days where we were at the Capitol advocating for all of our cities. Next, please, thank you. So just to give you an overview of what that was, so come January, we went in and we had this clear idea. So it was myself and Monty, when the executive director of the Texas Municipal League. And our mission was to move the needle on a subset of local priorities that are currently going through Congress administration right now. And this wasn't about high-level policy talk. It was about spotlighting what is needed for our cities, what our successes are and what our challenges are. Next slide, please. So what does that really look like? So that's strategic preparation. You know, we go in and have our meetings, and we had what we call a state of play, where we met with NLC's federal advocacy team. We transitioned into smaller groups, where we had state-focused breakout groups, and that format was intentional. It allowed us to have a more substantive, interactive discussions with congressional representatives rather than just delivering a generic message. A couple of attention areas that we focused on: infrastructure and safety, governance, and economy. Next slide, please. Thank you. So for infrastructure and safety, we met with different offices. For example, the Senate Environment and Public Works Committee. Our message was simple: local governments need the stability of long-term reauthorization to plan and build for the future. So we strongly supported a bipartisan act, which is called the Basics Act. That's to streamline the delivery of funding to local infrastructure owners across every state, but to make it a reliable formula. Because right now, when we're applying for funding, it can be difficult. There's a lot of red tape and a lot of loops that you have to jump through, and I see our finance director shaking her head yes, because she understands that. So we really wanted to focus on streamlining that, but making it accessible for projects that we need. So local bridge investments, road safety projects. Also talked about growing our surface transportation block grant, which would benefit both states, unlike any other formula out there. And for our public works people out there in the audience, we also took a hard line on PFAS liability, so insisting on the polluter pays model. So our taxpayer will not have to endure the burden of cleaning up after someone else's chemical mess. Next slide, please. Then we talked about governance and the economy. So we met with the House Oversight and Committee on Education Workforce, and we talked about all the red tape that holds our cities back. We advocated for the Streamlining Federal Grants Act to help out our smaller municipalities who, like us at the moment, do not have our own grant writer and are not able to afford expensive grant writers. I will talk about how the National League of Cities, they, unlike the Texas Municipal League, they offer a variety of resources to their member cities or member states. And one of them is actually grant funding. So they will walk you through what grants you are able to apply for, how to apply for them. They will help you once you get your NOGA, essentially functioning as a grant writer for all of the member cities. Now, this is only available to member cities, and unfortunate as of today, we are not up to date on our membership. So I would recommend, the city, if they have funds, to please reconsider rejoining to access all of those resources. We also talked about the 21st Century Road to Housing Act. So housing has been on everyone's mind, affordable housing. I went in and said, please stop saying affordable housing, because what is affordable to one person may not be affordable to another. So we had to have those really hard conversations of, how are we going to expand the Housing Act? So the 21st Century Road to Housing Act expands more flexibility, and we even talked about our CDBG funds to be used for new housing construction. We talked about encouraging private investments in housing projects and helping cities update their planning and zoning rules. So overall, the goal is to make it easier for housing for our cities. Next, please. We also did some other White House and agency deep dive conversations. We met meeting with the executive branch. We met with the intergovernmental affairs team, and we talked about cyber policy and the impact to local governance. We also held specific sessions with US DOT, FEMA. And for FEMA, the ask was to focus on fixing the reimbursement process. Our cities can't afford to have their budgets held hostage for years until FEMA is able to send funds over after a disaster. Next, please. So that was the congressional outlook. So focusing now on our state outlook for the 90th session that will be happening this next year. I believe I've mentioned before some of the priorities that are out there. So what's something to think about is, you know, everyone talks about property taxes and wanting relief for property taxes, but two things to note is the government's plan versus the lieutenant government's plan. They're two different plans. So the governor's property tax plan aims to eliminate school property taxes for homeowners, implement appraisal and expenditure caps, and require a supermajority for voter approval of tax changes. That could be a little detrimental to our city budget. The lieutenant governor's tax plan is Operation Double Nickel, which is to lower the senior homestead exemption age from 65 to 55 and increase homestead exemptions on school district property taxes. Now that sounds great to have our exemption lowered to 55. From a personal standpoint, that would be great because I wouldn't have to wait so long, but thinking about it from a city perspective, thinking about our general fund budget, that could impact us hugely. So these are two plans that we are monitoring closely and starting to have discussions about. Next, please. So some priorities and key issues, of course, city finance concerns. So cities are facing new potential expenditure caps, so telling us how much we can spend, how much we can take out with COs, revenue caps, debt limitations, and annual audit penalties. Preemption and land use. So there's a continued focus on the super preemption. So what that means is preemption is when the state's going to tell us how to govern as opposed to our local municipalities and councils deciding what works best for our communities. And so they're talking about that with land use permitting reforms, so telling us what to do with permits, how to do it, and consider using third-party reviews. And then potential new regulations for data centers. While this may sound good, there's a lot of talk about data centers going around the community and all over the nation, actually. The thing that makes me a little worried about this is that if the state tells us what we can and cannot do with data centers, it really ties our hands. And so that would mean that we would have to comply with the state law when it comes to data centers. So that's also something that we're monitoring closely. Next, please. So why is city advocacy essential? Why am I even talking about this in the first place? First off, this probably sounds a little harsh, but if you're not at the table, you're going to be on the menu. And it's the truth. If you don't have a seat at the table having these conversations, we're going to get eaten up alive. Especially when they talk about preemption and telling us how we are going to be able to function as a city. We're the local leaders that are closest to our community, so we need to make sure that our community's unique needs are heard and met. Next, please. We also want to protect our local taxpayer dollars. Specifically, when I mentioned earlier the Streamlined Federal Grants Act and the P6 Act, it's about making it easier for our cities to access these federal funds. We're already paying into this. We don't want the money to stay in DC. We want it to come back to us. So we want to make sure that we protect our local taxpayer dollars to make sure that we're getting our money sent back to us. Next, please. Preventing unfunded mandates. What some of our legislatures like to do is put laws into place but not make sure that we have money to comply with these laws. And so we want to make sure that we are advocating for our cities. And so one example was that PFAS liability protection. We don't want to be on the hook for a private manufacturer's cleanup. We want to make sure that they take care of what they did. So again, that's protecting our city budgets to the best that we can. Next, please. Accelerating disaster and recovery and infrastructure. As I mentioned, having conversations with FEMA, they're putting the shot clock on the Fixing Emergency Management Americans Act. So we're fighting to ensure that when a disaster hits, FEMA reimbursements arrive within months. Everybody remembers the tornado that came across our city. I was not in local government at the time, but when I came in, maybe 8 years later, our city was still having the effects of what our budget strain went through for that recovery. So it's very important that we're able to recoup those funds from FEMA, because as we all found out, a disaster can happen at any time. Next, please. Preserving local control and community identity. In an earlier slide, I failed to mention for the 90th session that they're talking about eliminating May elections. They want to do this so that we can only have bond elections in November. While that may sound good, there is concern that the voter may have voter fatigue in the sense that everything's going to be captured in one election for the year. So after you review your entire ballot, you may not really pay attention to what's on the end, which would be a bond election. And so no one knows the needs of our neighborhoods better than the people sitting up here on this dais. And so advocacy protects our rights as much as we can, as our city grows. Next, please. We're building a success story. So I was able to go up and talk about how ARPA funds saved us. I was able to give real life examples. And it kind of, when things appeal to the senses, when you know that what you are doing is making an impact, if you can see it, you can feel it, you can hear it, lawmakers pay closer attention. So I was able to go up and talk about how those funds really helped us and how we continue to flourish because of decisions that were made. And lastly, I'll just leave you with this. Advocacy isn't just about asking for money. It's about ensuring that the people who live, work, and pay taxes in our city have a voice in the halls of power where the future is being decided. And that's my purpose. And just for the record, I'm going to go on the record, and I will tell anybody who asks, the city did not pay for any of my trips to DC, and they do not pay for my trips to our state capitol. So don't worry about doing a records request, save your time. I know that was a question that was asked of me, and I gladly answered that no, it did not come from the city budget. And I'd be more than happy to continue doing this work and being the voice for our city. And I encourage my fellow council members to be involved, our administration to get involved as much as possible, because we're the only ones that can tell our story to everyone else. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Moving on to new business, consideration and possible action to approve proclamation 2026-013, National Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month.
Hello, I'm Candace Cherry. I'm the new Wilson County Advocate for Driving Hearts Crisis Center. How are y'all tonight? Thank you for having us. I wanted to say thank you for your continued community partnership with us and helping us along the way and sending us people who are in need of our services. So thank you all for that. Without you, we wouldn't be known. So
Thank you for being here.
and yes, ma'am. With that being said, I'm going to read the proclamation. Do you want to read the?
Yes.
The bottom? Yes. So, National Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month proclamation. Whereas every 68 seconds, another person in the United States is sexually assaulted. And in Texas, 2 in 5 women and 1 in 5 men are victims of sexual assault. And in the fiscal year of 2025, Thriving Hearts Crisis Center rendered 552 services to 93 survivors of sexual violence, excuse me, and provided 94 hospital accompaniments for sexual assault exams. Whereas, according to the study conducted by the Texas Association Against Sexual Assault and the University of Texas at Austin Institute on Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault, approximately 6.3 million Texans have been sexually victimized. Whereas most victims are sexually assaulted by someone they know, and 91% of the victims did not report to the police. Whereas it is appropriate to salute the more than 20 million victims who have survived sexual assault in the United States and the efforts of the victims, volunteers, professionals who combat sexual assault. Whereas national and community organizations and private sector supporters should be recognized and applauded for their work in promoting awareness about sexual assault, for sure. Whereas police, forensic workers, and prosecutors should be recognized and commended for their hard work and innovation strategies to increase the percentage of sexual assault cases that result in the prosecution and incarceration of the offenders. Whereas sexual violence is a persistent and pervasive problem in our society, one that requires attention year-round, and in order to foster healthy communities, all citizens must support the effort and end sexual violence every month of every year. And whereas the national and community organization, businesses in the private sector and the media are urged through national sexual assault awareness of sexual violence and strategies to decrease the incidence of sexual assault.
Thank you. Now therefore, I, Gloria Morales Cantu, Mayor of the City of Floresville, do hereby proclaim the month of April as National Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month in Floresville, and urge all citizens to observe this month by supporting the goals and ideas of victims and those working towards awareness and prevention, and by participating in the community's efforts. Presented this 26th day of March, 2026. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Huh? Yes, of course, of course.
We'll make a motion after.
Do I have a motion?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve proclamation 2026-013, National Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it, Mayor.
Motion made by Ms. Flores, second by Mr. Cantu, all in favor? 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Dick is not on this? Okay. 4-4, and then 1, no vote. Item B, 6B, motion passes 4-4, and 1 was no vote. Consideration and possible action regarding a request for street closure and city support for the November 7, 2026 Coffee Cars and Veterans Car Show, including the closure of 3rd Street between D and C Street, traffic control, trash cans, road barriers, and electric access. Mr. Go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, city manager. For those that don't know me, my name is Glenn May. I'm the founder and president of Coffee Cars and Veterans. We have done a car show downtown the last 2 years. We're very passionate about doing it downtown because if we don't do more events downtown, we're gonna lose our downtown. And that would be a shame. Our car show is a no cost to the car owners or the visitors. We get sponsors, that's how we raise our funds and stuff. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. What we're doing last year and this year, again, is we're raising funds to put lock boxes on disabled veterans' homes. What does that mean? I've worked with the county judge, the fire department, the chief of police, the sheriff, and we've come up with a way of putting a strong lockbox on the front of the house that has a code that law enforcement has. They can dial the code in, open it up, they have a key to the front door of the house. There will be a note in there and also in the 911 computer that says what the ailment is, what medications they're on, what animals are in the house, so that they know whether or not they have a guard dog, they have to deal with that. The ailment is so that they know exactly what they need to bring in to deal with the emergency that they're there for. How does this help the veteran? The first responders don't have to kick down their door. They don't have to kick down the door. The veteran doesn't have to replace the door. So it's a $50 box saves them a $300 to $500 expense of repairing a door, and the family worrying about their home not being secure while they're in the hospital. So right now we're doing it for veterans because that's kind of our passion. We did 2 last year. We're hoping to do more. The other thing that we're doing this year is raising funds for our JROTC. Our JROTC is our future. And right now, the JROTC at Floresville High School is kind of hurting. It's needing some funds. So we're gonna help them out as well. With the street closure, we did it last year this way, and it's basically the same way that the market days do. We leave 3rd Street, or C Street open so you can go that way. We just close in front of the courthouse. Everybody says, well, what if we have more cars to where we fill all that up? I already got permission from the county to use their court, or their parking lot, so I'll spill over in the parking lot if I have to. That would be a problem I would love to have. We're also gonna have vendors. If anybody wants to set up, please contact us. If you know somebody that wants to set up as a vendor, whether it's an information booth or whether it's selling something. We've already worked out with the permits people how we're going to do permits again this year. We're going to do the same thing as what we did last year. Other than that, everybody is invited. Mayor, you especially can come down and pick out your favorite car and award the trophy as you did last year. Thank you.
Thank you so much for what you do. Do I have a motion passes? Do I have a motion?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the request for street closure and city support for the November 7th, 2026 Coffee Cars and Veterans Car Show, including closure of 3rd Street between D and C Streets, traffic control, trash cans, road barriers, and electrical access.
Motion made by Ms. Flores. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Ms. Jimenez. All in favor? 4, 4 and 0 against. Moving on to item C. Thank you. Consideration of possible action regarding a request for street closure and city support for Passion of Christ, April 3rd, 2026. Christian Fellowship, including closure C Street between 3rd and 4th Street and electrical access. Pastor, any comment?
Good afternoon, everyone, Mayor, Council. It's been 2 years, the last time we did it, we started at the courthouse, I don't know if you were there at the time when we did it, but we used to go to the Baptist church, the old Eschenberg, you're my age, you remember the old Eschenberg, parking lot. And now it belongs to the Baptist church, and we were gonna do it there again this year. The only thing is that, the church has a Good Friday service, so they need their parking lot, and so that's the reason I'm coming for the closure. I've already spoke to the judge, said it's okay to use the courthouse, because that's where we start at 7 o'clock in the evening, and then make a walk down, what is that, 3rd Street? Yes, 3rd Street, am I right, 3rd Street, we come down front of the courthouse and come around just a quick turn. And there in the middle of C Street in the plaza, I know there's a business of the restaurant, so I didn't want to clash with that. But if we could maybe leave that side open, not unless you guys think that maybe it's not a good idea, but I'd hate to mess with their business on that Good Friday. But kind of like especially the parking that's going to be towards the courthouse, that's what we really need to block, because probably in the morning hours, so then when we bring that trailer, it's gonna be an 18-wheeler, we're gonna park it there, we will have a tomb, an area where crucifixion on the cross, and of course, all our cast is gonna be in it. The only thing is, of course, usually the city police will close just for that moment when we're walking in front of the courthouse, and it's just really doesn't take that long. We should be done by 8:30-ish, and then take everything down, so that trailer can be moved out, no later than 10 for sure. And also, again, the electricity, we don't have that much that we're gonna be pulling, but we do have a little sound system and some lighting that we're going to be putting up.
First of all, thank you for doing this, I really enjoyed it the last time I went. And, with that said, do I have a motion to pass this?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for consideration of possible action regarding the request for street closure and city support for the Passion of Christ, April 3rd, 2026. Christian Fellowship, including closure of C Street between 3rd and 4th Street and electrical access.
Do I have a second?
Mayor, clarification. The closure is just gonna be on the side closest to the courthouse.
Yes, ma'am, that would be on the south side of the plaza.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not in front,
That's the motion.
And of course, if I may add on, when we're doing it, it may kind of take over a little bit more, but it's not for long. It's not for long now.
No, I was just reiterating what you said about not blocking the businesses.
Yes.
I wanted to make sure that we're clear on that motion.
go ahead. Motion made by Mr. Cantus. Second by Mr. Morales.
Second.
All in favor? Four and 0 against. Moving on to item D.
Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you. 6D, discussion and possible action regarding a request for street closure and city support for autism acceptance 5K run, May 2nd, 2026. Street closure as shown on the submitted map. Ms. Guerrero? And Mr.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jared, and this is Lisa Guerrero. We both represent the Floresville Chamber of Commerce, as well as our member business, which is the Autism Therapy Group. We are in collaboration to try to put together the Floresville Autism Acceptance 5K. This is a community-sponsored event. Each of you should have packets coming at you shortly. We're proud to host this event as an Autism Acceptance 5K. Our projected date is the 2nd of May. Even though April is National Autism Awareness Month, we couldn't quite fit it into April. We'd like the city to be a meaningful part of this event. Just to throw it out there, nationally, 1 in 31 children are diagnosed with some level of autism. With those numbers, we can extrapolate what it is here in our community. In Floresville, based on our student population of roughly 5,000 students, we have no less than 161 students with autism. As an educator, I know that is an actual very good number because I see it in our schools. This is intended to be a family-friendly, non-timed run walk to bring together families, local organizations, sponsored by community members and other businesses across our community. You might be thinking, why is the Floresville Chamber of Commerce trying to sponsor a run? But part of our charter is also community involvement and improving our actual community area. And this brings together members of the community, as long as member businesses who intend to sponsor it, at which time, how many do we have?
It's on one of the flyers there, and we have about 4 sponsors right now who have committed to helping us keep the event free.
To help you with the record, she said 4. She's not close enough to the microphone for you. So we're looking for additional sponsors. We would love to see if the city would be able to also sponsor financially, as well as what we're asking for tonight. So to give you the 5 W's, the who, what, when, where, why, and the H for the how, you guys are part of the how. So, as I said, it's scheduled for May the 2nd, early morning, 8:30 a.m. The start point would be at the beer warehouse. There is a map in your packets. We're trying to centralize the route to be close within a couple blocks of downtown. So that brings people into the downtown, and just like my friend Glenn just said, if we don't have things downtown, there will be no downtown in the future. So this is also part of our intention with that from the Chamber of Commerce perspective. So for the overview, it would be something in the area of about 1.5 hours, maybe 2 hours from start to finish, with the start and finish line at the same location at the beer warehouse. What we need as far as support from the city would be safety and logistics support. So on one of those pages, we have 4 items that we're asking for support. Traffic control, barricades if required. We've really only identified about 3 locations where we need Floresville Police Department to erect barricades. So we're trying to minimize left-hand turns where people would have to cross into oncoming traffic. With that, possibly 3 officers that day, but it would be up to those that do the job for a living to actually look at our route and see what they might need. Use of the city space at the beer warehouse would be ideal. Access to the restrooms there is something that would be very important. Community sponsorship and visibility. We'd love to have the city representatives, all of you as council members. I don't know, Mr. Munoz, if you're up to a 5K run. I don't run a whole lot myself, but you're all encouraged to run or walk, because it is a 5K run walk. So it's an opportunity for the city to be out there and meet and greet part of their community. So the last thing we'd like from the city, just as others have asked for, and we did earlier with the sexual assault awareness, a proclamation from the city marking May the 2nd as Autism Acceptance Day here in Floresville. That way, it would be something that we could say that the city is behind the education and the inclusiveness that this run walk is trying to achieve. Because as we see, the numbers are increasing for autism, and we can't turn a blind eye. The people that have autism are our neighbors, our sons, daughters, nephews, and we have to include them in what we do on a regular basis. And having something like this shows them that, hey, you're a little different, but you're part of the team, you're part of the family, and we want to make that something that is part of Floresville. So with that, I'll turn over my time to answer any questions. She's going to be the one to answer.
Okay, I will let the city manager,
Mayor, I just wanted to say, the item on the agenda is limited to the street closure issue, and so, I don't think you can really take any action on anything else other than the street closure.
and, isn't, Fourth Street TxDOT, that does belong to the city, it belongs to TxDOT?
No, we would have to get permission from TxDOT, and so right now, we just want the request that's on the agenda. As we work with them and we get further details, we'll contact TxDOT, and we'll start narrowing down the scope for the additional requests, and we'll bring that back to you in future meetings.
So, do we go ahead and vote on this, or do we table it, or?
No, right now, I would go ahead and approve for them so they can start their planning to do the street closures.
So that's fine. Do I have a motion to pass this?
I would, I don't have a problem, it's a good thing, but, that'll be election day too, and I don't know the traffic coming in, how would all that work? So, just something to look at, and, I'm not trying to spoil it, but let's just remember too that it's election day.
And duly noted, we'll work with the group to see how we modify that so that we don't have any cross traffic or any potential accidents or liabilities. We'll look at that, but definitely, that's a great point, thank you.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the request for street closures and city support for autism acceptance 5K run, May 2nd, 2026.
I'll second.
Motion made by Ms. Jimenez, second by Ms. Flores. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Moving on to 6E, consideration and possible action, approval of lease agreement with San Antonio Railroad Heritage Museum.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. I've been working with Gary. It was discussed a couple of years ago about joining a partnership with the Heritage Museum for the Railroad and the rehab of the old railroad depot building. And so we've kind of been talking about it, their grand scope of things. I'm going to turn the mic over so he can kind of give you an idea of what the total project is, and then we'll get more into the details of the agreement.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Kind of the general scope of what we're looking at doing is putting something in the depot there. Y'all have had it there for a very long time. It looked great when y'all first got it here, but as many of y'all have probably seen, it's not looking so great anymore. One of the things we had discussed last year was about actually doing a lease on the depot, putting in a museum. That would be a division of our organization, San Antonio Heritage Museum. We're actually in the process of working on something similar in Alice, Texas as well. They gotta get their depot from the railroad right now. What we're looking at doing as far as scope goes initially is doing the restoration on the depot itself. It needs some work. It needs a little interior work too. In fact, I think it was last Monday, we were down here, looked inside the depot. Apparently some people have been getting inside the depot. Popped a couple floorboards open, there's trash and stuff inside. Big security risk to a building like that, especially somebody decides to try to start a fire, and a wood building doesn't stand a chance on a fire, especially when it doesn't have any fire suppression or anything inside. Fortunately, there's no actual electrical inside the building with power. There is electrical in there. So some of the stuff, one of the questions we had was electrical power, so that was answered. But our scope is to get the building rehabbed, get it making, able to be occupied for the museum, and then work out some sort of lease or something with the city so that we can actually put something in there. On the long-term side of things, one of the things we've discussed is also laying a piece of track down on the back side of the depot, opposite side of the trail itself, that would parallel the trail down to roughly about where the beer warehouse is. And then that we use that for giving rides on small pieces of equipment, which were called motor cars. They're the old track inspection vehicles. We can pull 2 or 3 carts behind them, carry several people. Long term is actually work on trying to acquire the old right-of-way from Union Pacific and get it back down here. Now, we realize that there is a couple of properties in between us and Ellendorf that are no longer the railroad's property, so we will have to discuss with those people that own the property there. But our goal is to actually bring a tourist railroad down here as a, another option for something bringing people to the city of Floresville. And, that's kind of our goal, but that's long-term. Right now, we're depot first, is getting that looking better.
Thank you so much, Gary, for, for doing this.
No problem.
And, Mr. Munoz, thank you.
Sure. I think this is a great project for the community long-term. I did draft for your packet a draft agreement. I did discuss this with the city attorney. She's recommending, not a lease agreement at this time, but modifying the, document you have before you to grant them a 2-year license while they rehab the building. If there's any additional grant funding or anything, additional requests that they're gonna request from the city, we'll bring all that action back for your consideration. Right now, she's just requesting, and correct me if I'm wrong, a license agreement for 2 years while they rehab the building.
My suggestion is that you grant them a license for the 2 year, up to 2 years, I think the city manager thought. That would then give the opportunity to develop the plan. And because the way that the lease was structured is it's as though the city might be required to participate in funding and things like that. And so if you did it in sort of a 2-step where you did the license, they came up with the plan, they got access, full access to the premises. And then there would be probably some sort of development agreement with the city and a lease, a long-term lease. And so that was my recommendation, and so I have revised that, but it's not in your packet, so.
Yeah, we'll kick that back to them to see if they're in favor of it, if they have any additional modifications, and then we can bring it back at the next meeting for your approval. But we just wanted you to know that we're working on this project. We're looking forward to doing this project long-term with them, especially of getting that building worked on. I think that's a great asset to the community, a great asset for all of you. So that's kind of the plan. I did have talks with Union Pacific Railroad. They're kind of listening a little bit more of what the overall project is. And so we're gonna work on putting a proposal before them, so we can start working on the right-of-way and the rail for that project long-term. But we'll definitely bring all of that information back to you.
Thank you so much. So, do we just table this, or do we, vote on it and move on with it?
Mayor, I think I would suggest that you table it if it's okay, and then just bring it up. You can see then the license agreement, and you can certainly discuss it, and then bring it back at the next meeting.
Okay. So do I have a motion to table this and bring it back on the next, agenda?
Mayor, I make a motion to postpone this item to revisit our first meeting in April. Is that okay, Mr. Munoz, first
Yes, ma'am.
meeting in April?
Motion made by Ms. Jimenez, second by Mr. Morones, all in favor? 5-4-0 against. Thank you. Moving on to item 6F. Consider, discuss, and authorize the city of Floresville to solicit requests for proposal from qualified vendors for professional services to provide grant research, grant writing, administration, management, compliance, and consulting services to state and federal grants and/or loan programs.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. This is a request. What happens is, and I'm sure you're familiar with, the last legislative session, they created a water infrastructure fund for municipalities to be able to participate in. Right now, we're under solicitation for the engineering firm to develop our water conservation plan. And part of that is that has to be due and approved by June. And so we have to have that implemented to the state, but we also have to have a project and a grant application submitted to the state for consideration by June the 1st, and that's right around the corner. Right now, we're looking at infrastructure projects and putting something together. But right now, it looks like the requirements for that are very technical and engineering. I think right now, we don't have the capacity to do that in-house. And so I'm requesting that we go out and solicit for the grant services for that project. as well as if we're approved, we have a firm that can manage the procurement and the construction and the implementation and oversight so that we can ensure full grant compliance. So I'm requesting your authorization to solicit.
Do I have a motion?
May I have a question?
Yes, go ahead.
How long will this solicitation be available? I did see that it was posted on our Facebook prior to our meeting.
Yes, ma'am. This is gonna be kind of a retroactive. We're trying to meet the deadlines and trying to do this. Since it's a state and federal program and it would be a construction project, the state and federal requirements is 30 days. And so to give us plenty of time to do the design and everything, we kind of got a little bit of a head by 2 days.
So start retroactively for
Yes,
2
ma'am.
days.
Do I have a motion?
I have a second question, Mayor.
Go ahead.
How much are we looking at for this item here?
Sure. So that, and the way we're gonna structure this agreement is once the grant firm or firms are selected, depending on the outcome of the grant, what the total cost would be, it's either a flat fee or it would be a percentage of the approved amount. And so basically it happens in 2 phases. They do the research and the grant writing for you, and you pay basically a flat fee for that. And then there's a fee after that if we're approved and it goes through construction for that. And typically it works on a percentage based on the total amount that was awarded.
So are you gonna have it with both options to see who's gonna respond? Whether it be the flat fee or the percentage?
We're gonna leave it right now to select the firms, and then we'll negotiate the contract terms once the firm or firms are selected for that. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
So do I have a motion? Francis?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to consider, discuss, and authorize the city of Floresville to solicit requests for proposal, RFP, from qualified vendors for professional services to provide grant research, grant writing, administration, management, compliance, and consulting services for the state and federal grant and or loan program.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Mr. Cantu, second by Ms. Menace. All in favor? Motion passes.
Thank you.
4-0 against. Thank you. Item 6G.
Mayor, I voted.
I'm sorry, no?
Jake voted.
Yes. Francis is not here.
Oh,
Francis is
okay,
not here.
I can't see. Gotcha, thank you.
Consideration and take possible action to award a contract to R&R Utility Construction LLC for the TX CDBG grant, CDBG Blue Bonnet and Buttercup Lane Sanitary Sewer Project TDA, contract number CDV 23-0145 in an amount not to exceed $388,635.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is the grant that we were awarded from CDBG. It was for $500,000 with a $50,000 match from the city. We did have 11 bids. It's Success Engineering is who went and tabulated the bids, and they are recommending R&R utility contract, construction, I'm sorry.
All right. Thank you.
It did come in below budget.
All right. Do I have a motion?
May I have a question?
Yes, go ahead.
So you did say it came below budget.
Correct.
So we were awarded the 500.
Correct.
So what happens with the rest of the?
There's actually, it's 25,000 is for Langford, and then it's 50,000 for Success, so it's really 400.
Still a little under.
Correct,
But
yes.
does that go back, or does it stay with the city just in case there are any change
It stays with us
requests?
until it closes out, so if there are change orders or anything, it will be covered.
Great, thank you.
Mayor, if I may, I make a suggestion that when we do receive the contract, that it be contingent on the city attorney's review and approval of the contract.
Okay, that sounds good. So So do I have a motion?
Do we need to amend this motion to
Just
add that
add-
portion?
Just add it.
I would. Has a motion been made yet?
No.
Okay, so I would just add, at the end that, to award the contract to R&R, subject to review of the contract by the city attorney.
So do I have a motion?
Mayor, make a motion to award the contract to R&R Utility Construction, subject to review of the contract from our legal department for the Texas CDBG Blue Bonnet and Buttercup Lane Sanitary Sewer Project, TDA contract number CDB 230145, in the amount not to exceed $388,635.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Who said? Mike? No, okay, Cantu. Motion made by Ms. Jimenez, second by Cantu, all in favor? 5-4-0 against.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item I, no, let me see. No, item H, GH. Consideration and take possible action to authorize the issuance of a request for proposal for website design, redesign, migration, and housing services for the city of Floresville and other agencies. Communication specialist? Oh, there you go.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I am requesting that we go out for an RFP for a new website for the city. Our website gets used daily from citizens, staff, all of us. That's where we put all of our information, that's where we add, take away, update, whatever it is. Right now, I feel that our website isn't very user-friendly. I've heard it from, several people from the public and some staff, and two, for every little thing that we have to update or do, whether it's add, take away, we have to contact our web design person, who then charges us for every update that gets made. So I'm looking for something that benefits the staff and to where we are able to have a login to go in by department and add or take away from it as needed. Because we don't have access to do that as of now. I think it would be, better for our budget, better cost efficient, and just better for staff to update the website as needed instead of waiting for somebody to do it for us. So that is my recommendation. If it gets passed today, I will then tomorrow work to get it posted, work with Wilson County News to get it advertised. And I would like to keep it open all the way until the end of April. We'll then bring the recommendations that come back to y'all the first meeting of May, which would be May the 14th.
Do I have a motion for this?
Mayor, I'll make a motion. Mayor, I'll make a motion to authorize the issuance of a request for proposal for the website design, redesign, migration, and hosting services for the city of Floresville and other agencies.
Motion made by Ms. Flores, second by Ms. Morones, all in favor? 5-4-0 against.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 6I, consideration and possible action to approve ordinance 2026-017 of the city of Floresville, Texas, amending the amount of appropriations for the general fund by changing the amount appropriated for revenues and expenses of the city and originally adopted by ordinance number 2025-011, adopted August 28, 2025, in accordance with the local government code of the state of Texas and the ordinances and rules of the city of Floresville, Texas, appropriating the various amounts thereof, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith, and providing for publication and an effective date. Finance Director.
Good evening. So this is in reference to some discussion for positions that city management is wanting to add, new positions. So this is just what we're looking at to add to our budget.
Yes, Mayor. As the finance director alluded to, what I'm requesting the budget amendment for is that we hire a purchasing agent that looks at our procurement and handles all of our procurement. So that way we're making sure that we follow all of the federal and state requirements for our procurements. I'm also looking at a planning director for our planning services development team to bring somebody on that, with planning experience as we're moving with the subdivision ordinance, the land use map, and all these other features that we're trying to implement. We need somebody with a little bit more technical experience to be able to do that, so we're looking to bring somebody on board. And also, for your consideration, we did put a survey out to kind of say, you know, what do the citizens want? And parks kept recurring right after streets. They came in at number 2. And so we'd like to also look at potentially bringing in a parks director, someone that's qualified to look at the recreational equipment that we have, upgrading that recreational equipment, but somebody that can tell us the difference in terms of the dirt and the grass that needs to be out there in our ball fields, in our football fields, and our soccer fields, and be able to implement that. And so I know that's a big priority from our constituency, from the public. So I'd like to look at those with this budget amendment, and so I'm recommending approval. Questions?
So how much would these, how much money would we need on, how many are it, 2 or 3?
It would be a total of 3 positions. We're looking at that right now. We were looking at the money that we have saved for the past fiscal year on the city management line items before I was here. We didn't use the full item or the full amount between the city manager and the assistant city manager. And as of today, I sent a notice to everyone that our assistant city manager has agreed to be the interim executive director for FEDC. So that also adds to a little bit of savings for the rest of the fiscal year for us. So we're looking to use some of that money, and then we're looking right now at a market rate for the planning director. We're looking between anywhere from 85 to 95. For the parks director, we're looking between 75 to 85, and the purchasing agent, we're looking around 35 to 40, depending on qualifications. So with the cost savings and with the budget amendment, I believe it's at 100,000. We should not be able to, I mean, we wouldn't be using all of that money, but depending on qualifications, we just kind of want to.
Well, you'd be saving how much money also on the position that went away?
Correct. So since that was announced today, that was prior to my knowledge of actually completing the budget amendment. So the placeholder there to draw from the reserve, I honestly don't see us having to draw from the reserve. So, yeah. That's just in case to keep it balanced for now.
Thank you for that, Cindy, because that was gonna be my concern, to be pulling from the reserve for something that isn't capital outlay. So, you know, that would be something we'd have to build into our budget and be able to sustain. So, do we need to approve this with the amount that's here, or what is your recommendation, Mr. Munoz?
My recommendation is that we approve. That doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to expend the funds. In the next couple of months, when we have those numbers more finalized for you. We also have the reconciliation for the mid-year budget with our departments, and so we'll look at that as well, and we'll bring you the final numbers in probably about 60 days.
Thank you. With that said, do I have a motion?
Mayor, I have a clarifying question for legal.
Go ahead.
If we approve it as is with the amount that she has presented in our packet, and will we just come back with another budget amendment with another ordinance for it?
Correct, because I will come back with other budget amendments besides just the salary ones. That major.
I just wanted to make sure that it was okay for the same amendment to do it again.
To do it, okay, yes.
Does that make sense what I'm asking?
I'm not sure that I am following exactly.
So the amendment is for the positions that he stated, and she presented a certain amount.
There's only 2 salaries in there, and then the 100 from our savings. But he was talking about multiple positions, and so this doesn't cover the multiple positions he's talking about, but since he mentioned it in this item, I wanted to make sure that it would be okay to come back and make an amendment for additional funds, even though we're already approving this amount today.
So can I, just real quick, on this amendment, it shows the Parks Director and the planner. And the reason there's not one for the budget agent is because of the cost savings that we had from not having a city manager. We just had, an interim for the, first 5 months? Yes. So we're only looking to pay someone the rest of this fiscal year. So that's why you don't see that on there.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Do I have a motion to pass this?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2026-017, amending the amount of appropriation for the general fund.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Ms. Jimenez, second by Ms. Flores, all in favor? Motion passes 5-4, 0 against.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to 6J, consideration and possible action to approve ordinance 2026-018, amending ordinance number 285 of the city of Floresville, Texas, by substituting a revised section 1 providing for the imposition of a monthly recreational utility fee for all residential and commercial units within the city, providing for severability, establishing fee structures, providing for repeal of conflicting ordinances, and providing an effective date. City Manager?
Yes, good evening, Mayor and members of the council. Upon reviewing our park fee of $1, the original ordinance that was initially passed was $1 per lot or $1 per utility connection. And I'm probably gonna get an eviction notice for this, but in my apartment building, they only pay $1 to the city for the park fund, but there is over 50 units in there, and so they use a compound meter, and so either we pay pro rata, or some businesses and apartments, duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes, they do pro rata, or what they do is they will sub-meter. And so if it's a sub-meter, obviously, they pay the additional fee. So when I reviewed this, I went to our planning services and I said, just how many people out there, how many accounts exist where they're only paying $1, where a residential or commercial connection has, but they have multiple tenants, like a shopping center. Also, let's look at the apartment buildings, how much are they paying? Let's look at the triplexes, duplexes, quadplexes, multifamily residences that only have 1 meter. And let's see if there's a loss in potential revenue coming to the city. And so as part of your packet, they did a wonderful job of counting those doors for everybody. So the way it comes out is right now on a monthly basis, we're not collecting potentially a little under $5,000 a month in these fees. And so I want to come to you so that we can amend that amendment that now includes those number of doors, and correct me if I'm wrong, City Attorney, the actual wording, but we want to be able to collect that revenue so that everyone is paying a fair, equitable portion into that park fund.
Go ahead.
So, I've reviewed the language that he's included, and it's the per door, and we don't have, the city attorney does not have a problem with it being a per door fee. We've also discussed, you're changing it from $1 to whatever is in the.
Correct. So right now in the ordinance, it stipulates $1. So if you want to modify that in the future, you would have to come back and amend the ordinance again. What I'm proposing under this ordinance is you include that as part of a master fee schedule. A master fee schedule, what we've not done in the budget season, or our previous budgets, is we have a listing of all the services and charges that the city charges, and we bring that to you during the budget season so that you approve that. So we want to move that master fee funds, $1 into the master fee schedule. So if you ever want to change that to $1.50, $1.25, whatever it may be in the future, you can do that approval through the master fee schedule rather than going back and amending the amended ordinance. And so that's the proposal we have for you.
Do I have a motion?
Mayor, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Mr. Munoz, so right here, it says the total will be just under 5,000. Do you know what we're currently paying? Or, I'm sorry, what we're currently receiving?
Currently, per month, we receive $3,200.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. No more questions? Do I have a motion?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2026-018, amending ordinance number 285 of the city of Floresville, Texas by substituting a revised section 1, providing for the imposition of a monthly recreational utility bill for all residential and commercial units within the city, providing for severability, establishing fee structure, providing for repeal of conflicting ordinances, and providing an effective date.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Ms. Flores, second by Mr. Cantu, all in favor? 5-4, 0 against.
Thank you.
Moving on to item K, consideration and possible action to approve resolution 2026-013, amending the articles of incorporation of the Floresville Economic Development Corporation, 4B, to revise the selection criteria for the appointment of directors, designate the Floresville city manager as the FEDC 4B executive director, and establish an effective date.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. We're going to recommend no action on this item. We brought this item, 4B had a special meeting, and we met prior to with the board president, their legal counsel, our legal counsel, and myself. It was an amazing meeting. It was very productive. We got to hear what their thoughts were in having that special meeting. We think we can reconcile some ideas and ideas that they have for that agreement that we have between the 4B Corporation and the city. So they're not looking to do any changes right now. We're going to continue deliberations with them to work out an agreement between all parties. Again, we're asking for no action, and it was an amazing meeting. We learned a lot from them and what they're planning to do. And so, you know, come in May and June, we're going to have that joint workshop that I promised everybody. And hopefully by then, we'll get a better consensus what that development agreement is going to look like moving forward, as well as I'm excited with their vision of what they want to do with the 4B. I'm excited to help them present that to you at that joint workshop. And so right now, we're asking for no action. I just want to give you a quick update what transpired from that meeting.
Thank you. Do I have a motion for no action?
Mayor, motion, we take no action.
Second by Mr. Morones. Motion made by Ms. Jimenez, second by Mr. Morones. All in favor? Motion passes 5-4, 0 against.
Thank you.
We will now go into, the city council will meet in closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code section 551.071 for purposes of consulting with its attorneys. Number 1, Andy Jocelyn versus City of Floresville. Cause number CBW 2505283. A2, Ben Reed versus the City of Floresville, and FEDC. Civil action number 524-701, and cause number CBW 2602072, and number 3 regarding contracts obligations relating to the construction of the police department facilities. We're gonna do all 3 of them at the same time, okay? And, do I have a motion to go into executive session?
Mayor, I'll make a motion that the city council will meet in closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code, section 551.071 for purposes of consulting with its attorneys, for items 1, 2, and 3.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we will go into executive session at 7:45. Motion Flores, second by Mr. Cantu, all in favor? 5-0. Motion passes. I'm sorry.
I've seen it vote.
Oh, no, I was looking at the time.